Okay, so here's the plan. I'm at the airport, and I had a request from a friend of mine's son to do an Ohm's Law intro for him because he's going for his airframe power plant mechanics license. And it's the beginning of school year, so I usually start in with an Ohm's Law thing. So I thought I would do an Ohm's Law intro that I could put up on the web and share it with all of you. If it helps you out, great. My goal is to do it in 10 minutes, and I don't know, see if I meet that goal. I wouldn't mind including a little bit of Watt's Law in there as well. Hopefully I won't get interrupted, so here we go. Ohm's Law is volts, amps, and ohms. And it looks like this, E, I, R. And if you know a little bit of algebra, you know that when you draw it like this, E is equal to I times R, or I is equal to E over R. Say it a bunch of different ways. You could, if you're looking for R, it's E over I. Likewise, if you're looking for I and you don't know I, cover that one up, and then it's E over R. I'm going to try and leave numbers out of this, just talk about concepts for now. Ohm's Law is usually drawn in as a wheel, like this, and you separate the pi like so. It's not really a pi, and some of my students in the past have thought that maybe E was, because there's a line right here, E is 50% of something, and I and R might be 25% of something, but that's not true. Basically all it is E is equal to I over R, and they just put it in this nice little circle, and Bob's your uncle. That's how you do it, you know. So now what throws a lot of people for a loop is sometimes they'll substitute a V here for E, and clearly that's volts. All right, that throws some people for a loop. Maybe you already know that, maybe you don't. I guess the question is, what is volts? Well, volts is electrical pressure, and electrical pressure is measured in volts. I and R. I guess we'll talk about I. I is amperes. A-M-P-E-R-E-S, amperes. Also known as amps. And they use the letter I. Why? I don't know. I didn't make this up. So if you can remember these as being those and this as being them, throw you for another loop. R a lot of times is the Greek letter omega, because it's measured in ohms. So there are those three things. Now what they are is, amperes is flow. That's the flow, or it's current flow to be exactly. So now we got three terms really, four if you include the letter. So I is amperes, or amps, named after Andre Ampere. I think he was a Frenchman back in the day. And that's the current flow, flow of electricity. So the flow of electricity is an ampere. Its pressure is volts. Well, what is ohms? Ohms is R, and R stands for resistance. So if you've got resistance to the flow of electricity, these two things could be thought of on a teeter-totter, so that if you have oh, I don't know, let's say high current, high resistance, that means you're gonna have low current. It's kind of like kinking a hose. Here's the fulcrum. Likewise, if resistance goes down, current, you guessed it, goes up. They're what's called inversely proportional. Inversely proportional. Proportional. Look it up if you don't know what proportional means. This is proportions, the portion, the part of. So if resistance goes down, current goes up. If current goes down, resistance goes up. A little bit about Watt's law. Kind of the same thing, except different symbols here. So here's PIE, there's Watt's law. Now, same thing, you put it in a circle, it spells pi. Remember this one, it's got an E on top because we're electricians. You might be an airframe power plant mechanic, you might be an electrician, you might be an engineer, whatever. E, this is electrical stuff. E goes on top in Ohm's law. In Watt's law, the P goes on top. And it spells the word pi. Like I said, it doesn't mean that P is 50% of anything, or I is not a quarter of anything, and nor is E. It's just the way it's drawn out. So, likewise, P is equal to I times E. If you're looking for P, it's I times E. Think of it as putting a multiplication symbol there. Likewise, if you're looking for E, cover that up. E is equal to P over I. And again, I'm going to try and stay away from calculations on this video. If you want to see calculations, maybe I'll make another one. I don't know. So, P is watts, is power. P-O-W-E-R. Power is watts. And watts, and this is what my electrical instructor always told me, is amps times volts. Volts times amps, amps times volts. Either way you want to say it, it's true. So watts is volts times amps. The other thing that he'd tell you, and I always say to my students, is watts is watts. And what that means is, whenever you've got something that's rated in watts,